The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I'm so sick of this, y'all. This shouldn't happen. There's no excuse for this. And it seems like school pew-pewing season starts earlier and earlier every year. And we just allow it. I feel terrible for the kids. I feel so bad for not just the victims, but the people who witnessed it and will now have to live with that for the rest of their lives. I don't feel bad for their parents. This happened at a Catholic school. There should have been no children there at all. We know what the church does to kids, so I feel terrible for the kids. May the universe protect them from their Catholic parents and the church. Y'all can shove your thoughts and prayers right where the brightest of the suns don't shine. So far up that black of yours that even your God can't see them or hear them. Because I'm all out of compassion for Christian nationalists. Y'all. You did this.
Welcome, my friends, to the Thursday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. That voice among the many commenting on the tragedy that took place yesterday in Minnesota. This is a refrain that we are hearing from some people on the left. We are hearing, of course, cut 9. This is what else we're hearing, my friends, endlessly.
Have more guns in America than we have people. The reality is that we have these assault rifles that can reel off 30 clips in conjunction with a magazine before the person even needs to reload. The reality is that these guns make their way into cities across America by the trunk.
Okay, we're also hearing this from the police in Minneapolis. The chief of police, cut 3.
So right now we don't have a clear motive to establish for why he did this at the church today. We're obviously open to every possibility, and we're hopeful that once we are able to go through the scene, all of the evidence that's collected, that we'll be able to better provide answers for our community.
Yeah.
Here's some note for you, ladies and gentlemen, from our former White House press secretary, now hostette, number one hostette on PMS NBC, soon to be PMS Now. Prayer is not freaking enough. Prayers do not end school shootings. Prayers do not make parents feel safe sending their kids to school. Prayer does not bring these kids back. Enough with the thoughts and the prayers. That was former press secretary Jean Psaki. We have more, and we'll have a lot more from her today. Caroline Leavitt, the current White House press secretary, spoke about Ms. Psaki. She's been making all kinds of statements, and cut 11 is what Caroline Leavitt had to say.
Yes, I saw the comments of my predecessor, Ms. Psaki, and frankly, I think they're incredibly insensitive and disrespectful to the tens of millions of Americans of faith across this country who believe in the power of prayer, who believe that prayer works, and who believe that in a time of mourning like this, when beautiful young children were killed while praying in a church, it's utterly disrespectful to deride the power of prayer in this country, and it's disrespectful to the millions of Americans of faith. And I would encourage Ms. Psaki to pray for these families themselves who need it right now more than ever.
Now, Ms. Psaki opened her program. This is cut 10, Carlos. Well, I don't know about open, but this was one of the highlights of her program yesterday, and it began like this.
And all they should be hoping to do is have someone to sit with at lunch or someone to play with on the playground. And they should be waiting to hear an update when they get home. And that is not what these parents at this school experience today. Sorry, this is a tough one. Having your child killed while they are sitting in a pew for a morning prayer service is not what any parent should have to worry about. And I have felt a mixture of anger and a lot of anger and emotional exhaustion about this today, as I'm sure many of you have, because we have been here so many times. And yet again, like clockwork, half of the politicians in our country have little more to offer than thoughts and prayers. That is all they are offering. Join all of us in praying for the victims, was Vice President J.D. Vance's response today. That's what he said. That's it. Please join me in praying for everyone involved, Trump wrote. We have seen this play out over and over again. There is a shooting, then come the thoughts and prayers, and then comes the attempt to shift the focus. This is what always happens. You're going to start seeing narratives. You're already seeing them. They're already out there about how the shooter was trans. You're going to see narratives about how the shooter appeared to be anti-Trump and anti-Semitic, and clearly was in the midst of a mental health crisis. There's no question about that. But here's the thing. There are trans people all over the world. There are anti-Semitic people, unfortunately, all over the world. And people filled with plenty of political hate all over the world. And mental health issues are not unique to the United States. And yes, we should do more to address them. But it's also an issue all over the world. But this is the only country where shootings like this one happen this often. The United States not only has the highest rate of gun violence of any country in the world, it's become a leading cause of death for young people and teenagers in this country. That should make everybody angry. Weaponizing the shooter's identity is meant to distract from what matters. That is what they are doing, trying to distract from what matters. Here's what matters. Today's shooter bought the rifle, handgun, and shotgun they used to do what they did today legally. We live in a country with more guns than people, where there are not universal background checks, there are not bans on assault weapons, and it is far too easy to buy a gun. It's the guns, everyone. It's not really a secret. There are a lot of things to feel outraged about right now, and I really try.
It's the guns, everyone. It's not really a secret. It's the guns, everyone. It's the guns. It's the guns. It's the guns. You know, like Jen Psaki, we have all been down this road. We've heard this thing many times before. One of the kids that rose to fame is becoming from a victim of school shooting, and well known to all of us in this audience, David Hogg, of course, released his own statement. They tossed him out of the Democrat Party leadership. He was there for a hot second, then he's out. Cut 14, this was David Hogg with their usual.
Trump has the power to do something about this. After Parkland, he repeatedly said, you guys are cowards. You're not going to do anything because you're afraid of the NRA. We need to do something about guns. That is what he said. And then he met with the NRA and did nothing. Why? Because he is a coward. And my message to Donald Trump is that you are a coward, sir. You are not going to do anything about this issue because you are terrified of the NRA, even though you have the power to save tens of thousands of lives. You were the strongest president in modern American history with a chokehold over your party and both chambers of Congress. You have the power to end this, but you are not going to because you're a damn coward.
So it all comes up to the same old lines that we hear. By the way, yes, Carlos, well, I shouldn't have put a name. Somebody commented that was a quick turn of emotions from Jen Psaki in that first segment of hers that we played. 1 minute she's crying, sobbing. The next minute she's on a political rant just with the vitriol. Well, you know, look, emotions. It's emotions. That BG's up. Yeah. Listen, I'm not taking any of this lightly. Guns. We hear this, and we've been hearing it all the time. So now we keep hearing this. There are more guns in America than there are people. There are more guns in America than there are people. That's true. And that also means that there are more people in America that have guns that are not using them for anything immoral, anything that could be considered other than because they either want them, have them, use them for self-defense, have them for self-defense, and they have them. And we have a right to carry. We all know this. I don't want to go through the same litany of arguments we hear every time. Yes, there are more guns. And you know what? If we had more people in this country that had the proper moral compass, that understood one of the basic commandments of the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not kill. And if we had a country that where more people who have guns, because we have more guns than we have people. If we had more people that were actually living their life according to the rules of what you call the religion, most religions in this earth teach the same things to people. There's moral clarity about murder. There's no unambiguous call. This is not even debatable. There is a right. There is wrong. There is good. There is evil. The more people who align themselves with good, and when a nation is overwhelmingly aligned with good, you don't get this kind of thing. Now, there are a lot of reasons. But these people continue to look at it as it's the guns. Not that it is the deranged soul, the deranged mind that is responsible for these things. It is strictly looked at as it's the inanimate object that rather than the human being. It is the human being. It is the being that is responsible for these. That being that is not exercising the discrimination that all human beings have. That is a God-given discrimination to choose to do good or choose to do evil. And you can go through now, there could be reasons for that. But we can keep on, and these people, every time this happens, keep on arguing over the gun. Did I hear Jen Psaki cry about those kids in Los Angeles that were gunned down? Did I hear her cry and open her show crying about the children in New York City that are gunned down? Do I hear any of these Democrats crying every week when the stats come in from these blue cities across America and you have 3, 4, 5 people dead and you have multiple people injured? Like last week, Chicago, 20-something people injured. Did she open her show crying about that? It was the same numbers of people, roughly, that happened in this incident. Same numbers over the weekend. Did any of these journalists open their show crying about the 3 lives that were lost in Chicago last weekend and the 20-something that were injured? Did any of them cry about any of these people? No. Did they demand action? No. Why not? If these lives are important enough for her and everyone else to open up crying, if David Hogg was nowhere to be seen on TV crying about what happened in these inner cities last week, why not? Why not? James Golden, Snerdley with you here, fastest hour in American media. Don't go away. We're coming back.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The year was 1996. Isaac Hayes, who co-wrote this one for Sam and Dave, sent a protest letter to I'm Bob Dole. Candidate Bob Dole. He used to always, I'm Bob Dole. Bob Dole sent a letter to Bob Dole requesting that Bob Dole's campaign stop using this song. His campaign had been running this song with changing the lyrics to I'm a Dole Man. Yeah, creative. Anyway, Isaac Hayes said, that cat ain't a bad mother. Anyway, enough. Thank you so much. So Randy Weingarten, who has failed more American children as leader of the American Federation of Teachers, also powerful proponent for closing the schools down during COVID, making sure set back to American children's education by years, was on with Chris Janning on PMS-NBC. And she's, again, with the same line that you keep hearing. There are more guns on the streets than we have people, and the principal cause of death for kids is these kinds of killings. The principal cause of death for a lot of kids, by the way, let's break that down for a quick second. The principal cause for a lot of children in America doesn't come from guns. It comes inside Planned Parenthood abortion centers. Let's start there. The abortion mills, the genocide mills run by Planned Parenthood. More children die in those than on the streets. But I get the point that she's trying to make, ignoring that. And by the way, who supports that? Democrat Party. And as far as these kinds of killings, as I has been saying since yesterday, happen in every American city, every day, every week, and not a word from old Randy Weingarten, not a word from the Democrat. She says she agrees with Democrat Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar, who says we have to fight for a nationwide assault weapons ban. Part of that fight is to create a culture that human life means more than a gun culture. Oh, you're going to lecture us on human life now? Really? James Golden, Snerdley. Fastest hour in American media. Keep it right here, ladies and gentlemen. Do not go away. There are other things in the news I'd like to touch on, but I'm going to stay with this just a little bit longer if you don't mind. Don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Is that just me, or does anybody else feel this way when you're driving and you see somebody with an American flag on their car or truck, either a sticker of the American flag or they're flying the American flag on their vehicle, or when you drive past somebody's home and they're flying the American flag outside? Does it make you look at the driver of the vehicle a different way now, or look at the homeowner a different way now when you see this?
A different way now?
I do. It makes me feel a certain type of way now. I'm just curious or wondering if anybody else feels this way now, or is this just me? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Like and share.
Whatever. I mean, let her know. I mean, yeah. Do you feel a certain kind of way now? Neil? What kind of way now? Oh, well. All right, so we were talking before we left off with this comment from Randy Weingarten, and let me just say this. You have so many others, and I could play them, and I'm not going to play them all. We had Don Lemon in here today. We have other quotes from Jen Psaki, all of it. But one thing that I keep hearing over and over again is that we don't spend enough resources on, getting all these guns off the street. We don't have the resources. You know, the thing that America is missing most, the biggest resource that is in shortest supply? The truth. It is the most accessible resource that we have, and it is not acknowledged. Looking at the truth would be the biggest resource that we ever have. Just being unafraid to say the truth. The truth, for instance, which many of these Democrat politicians seem to have a problem with right now, is that there is an increase. There is an increase in the number of trans young people, men, particularly, that are turning to violence. It is not conjecture. It's not me assaulting the trans community. I have no interest in assaulting or being hateful toward any community of anybody. But we should be truthful, and this is what has been in denial. The truth. The truth is that this entire fabrication of trans women, trans men, is a total misconception from reality. Yes, you can surgically alter someone's body. Yes, you can change their body and their psychological component to change by infusing them with very powerful and in some cases harmful drugs. But at the end of that process, a man will not become a woman will not become a man. They are still a woman. They're still whatever they were. Although it can have effects on them. That's the truth. And that's what people do not want to say. This entire political now community, because that's what it's become, a political identity and a social construct and a political identity, is based on a lie. That somehow or another we can change what God has ordained. God made these genders. Or if you don't believe in God, if you just want to say whatever power created the universe, that's who created us. And no matter what we do, no matter how much we want to argue against it, no matter how much we think we're in control of it all, we are not. That is another misconception. We are not in control of this. So the truth is a resource that is not being offered to people that desperately need it. Instead, you get people that are trying to placate their delusional thinking. And by the way, we do this to ourselves. We also, when it's convenient, placate our own delusional thinking about things. It's a human weakness. The truth is, no matter what weapons man creates, the weapons are useless unless there is a human involved in using them. The truth is, consciousness is what is necessary to change what is happening in our society, a change of consciousness. In the 1940s in our country, in the 1930s, 1920s, now almost 100 years ago, unthinkable. These mass shootings that happen on a daily basis. Unthinkable that they would happen in this number. It was unthinkable. Now we've accepted it because so many people are doing it. Part of it is that we don't punish crime the way that we used to and criminal behaviors. We don't. You know, when America was first founded, if you were found guilty, if you go back and you look at Virginia, and I've read through the entire writings of Thomas Jefferson, I haven't read all of it, huge volume, but I did read one part that stuck with me, which is when he was arguing in the House of Burgess, when he was arguing when they were establishing law in Virginia. You were convicted of a crime like murder or something like that, you hung the next day, unless it was a Sunday, which was a holy day. They wouldn't hang you on a Sunday, so you'd have to wait till Monday before they strung you up. So you might get 2 days. You're convicted, you hung, period. Open, shut. You took a life, yours is taken. And it was strict in America. Now, I understand that times have changed. And yes, I understand the abuses of all of that, especially when it comes to black people and the way that the law was abused by the Democrat Party to oppress black people for years and years. So I'm not saying that we should never evolve, but here's what. Can anybody say that we are dealing with crime and punishment honestly and truthfully? What these same people now that are out whining about guns and guns, we have more guns in America than we do people, are some of the same voices that are railing against Donald Trump sending out the National Guard, who, by the way, have seized over 123 guns from criminals in D.C. within a 2-week period. And you don't hear them celebrating about that. They're bemoaning we don't need them. You have the gun violence that takes place in Chicago. You have the gun violence that takes place in Los Angeles. Then you have the convoluted argument that Gavin Newsom and others put up. Well, you have red states where they have more murders. Yeah, because in red states there are blue cities, and blue cities are run by Democrats, and these Democrats let murder and every other crime on, but that never comes into account. These same people that are crying on their media shows now, crying, don't say one word when every single week children trying to play near their homes are murdered by gangsters, are raped in some cases by people that are illegally in this country, and others by pedophiles that are here already. They don't open their shows with tears and with lamentations about how awful it is and how these children deserve better than this. Yes, these children do deserve better than this. No one wants to talk about the racial component in this on these liberal outlets either. You want to talk racial? Let's talk about the numbers of black kids that kill other black kids, where this has now become part of the societal norm in certain neighborhoods among a certain class of the black population in America. It is not the entire black population, but there's a certain class. And you know what? The gangster lifestyle is something that's been promoted, glorified. It's even glorified to the point that some of the biggest leaders are now put up by these same media companies as heroes, paraded all around the world, that were promoting gangster rap, that were promoting all the rest of the stuff that advocated violence, shooting, killing, murdering, sex without end. Look, they treated the guy now that he's considered first-class criminal of the year, P. Diddy. I mean, anybody know what P. Diddy was doing? You remember they were throwing this guy keys of the city, this, that, and the other? All these guys that now have helped create a culture that has normalized violence, murder, normalized killing, murdering, whatever. The Democrat Party celebrate. Look what Kamala Harris did. Look who she brought on stage with her. Look at how Hillary Clinton tried to make nice to the rap community because she needed the black vote or wanted the black vote. None of them came out there and said, you know what? This is really harmful for this culture. This is really harmful for, as long as these mass killings in America take place every week and they're in black neighborhoods and mostly it's black kids or brown kids getting killed and it's a bunch of black kids and brown kids doing the killing, as long as that is okay, then it's okay. And damn you if some white president, especially Republican, starts talking about trying to stop the killing fields in these American cities, then the Democrats go on all-out hell warfare against that president. But some children got killed in Minneapolis. And I'm not saying that lightly. It is horrible. It should have never happened. And what do we get? We get what we should get every time a child is killed in America. Needlessly. These people are the biggest hypocrites, no kidding there, no breaking news there, in the world. We see this, we tolerate this in our country. And when Donald Trump tries to stop it in Washington, in Chicago, in New York, in Philadelphia, in Los Angeles, he's the bad guy. He's Mr. Evil. But yet they can come out here and now preach to all of us about how bad guns are. Again, never once the lack of morality with those people using the gun. Never once the lack of human decency and consciousness and respect for human life about the people that have normalized this behavior. Let's blame the inanimate object again. It's not something that's going to end soon. In fact, but my friends, thank you so many. I heard from so many of you after yesterday's show. Either pop me an email through thedailybs.com. So I wrote an article today about what I discussed yesterday about taking the same drug that many of these trans kids take and what it does. And I will tell you something. I'm still convinced that part of what we are seeing in this society is not just this drug and the way that it is affecting these youth. But I still, in the back of my mind, wonder whether so many of these kids that are getting into so much difficulty, we have generations of American kids that have been drugged up almost from the moment that they could walk. And many of them boys, because it is assumed that boys with high energy there must be something wrong, so we have to stop them from behaving aggressively because they're boys. There's a lot to unpack in all this stuff. Let's take a break. James Golden, Snerdley, don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This is why people love Scott Jennings.
I actually had a negative reaction to the mayor's statements today. I think it's wrong, frankly, to vilify or attack people of faith. You said thoughts and prayers ring hollow. I think thoughts and prayers are the most solid on days of tragedy for people who live their faith every day. And I think on a day like today, particularly in a church community, there are probably people praying harder for comfort today than they have ever prayed in their life. And so I think, and I've heard others on the left today go down this line of attack against people of faith, sort of denigrating the idea that they might want to pray today. And so I think his statements were misguided. The thing that struck me today, Abby, truthfully, when I was watching this unfold, was that the two little ones that died were 8 and 10. I have 7 and 9. Those are my two youngest. They turn 8 and 10 in a few days. And we could probably sit here and argue out all the issues of faith and transgenderism and all the other things that have been raised today, but it strikes me that none of us ever want to know the terror and the absolute empty hole that will never be filled that those parents of the 8 and 10-year-old are going to feel. And I just thought maybe tonight the most useful thing any of us could do would take 10 seconds and just sit quietly and be still and be quiet and think about those families, because they are never going to be the same, no matter what we say.
They aren't.
We leave you today with the Beach Boys, my friends. 1965, this song by California Girls went to number 3 on the United States singles charts. It didn't do as well overseas, peaked at number 26, and we have to go. May God bless, protect each and every single one of you, your families, your loved ones. Love and gratitude for your being here with me, allowing me to be with you. God willing, we are back for the Friday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour tomorrow. In the meantime, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?